Hey everyone, did you know there's a comedy starring Johnny Knoxville in theaters right now? Yeah, don't worry, no one else did either. Action Point stars Johnny Knoxville and Chris Pontius and is directed by Tim Kirkby. In this film, Johnny Knoxville plays a character named DC. Yeah, I know, not himself for once. And he owns a sketchy, out-of-control amusement park called Action Point, where basically you can do whatever dumbass thing that your heart desires. So essentially, it's what you would imagine in your head if you heard one of the Jackass crew created an amusement park. Anyways, some business tycoons want to buy the land and replace it with a new theme park. Does that plot sound familiar? Have you seen a comedy from the 70s to the mid-2000s? Then you've seen this movie. It's the snobs versus the slobs. So to preface this review, I'm coming at this movie as someone who, when I was in high school, I really enjoyed Jackass and Viva La Bam. Actually, I must admit, I watched Viva La Bam way more than I watched Jackass. But I watched reruns of that show all the time. I actually got to it because when Jackass was popular, I was a little too young to be watching it. So I got to it a little late. But I enjoyed the hell out of the show. Like, Johnny Knoxville, that whole group of guys, they were just so fun to watch. They were hilarious. They were insane. And there was legitimate camaraderie between all of the guys. So, that just made for such a fun show to watch. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing how much Johnny Knoxville would be bringing that old shtick back into this movie. Also, I have a soft spot for dumb comedies. I think a lot of that stems from nostalgia of watching a lot of the 90s, 2000s ones when I was in middle school and high school, like around the time I was watching Jackass. So I must admit, this movie is sort of, I'm biased towards. And I'm going to get into why that is. But essentially, I did enjoy dumb comedies. Movies like Superbad and Acceptance. Some of them actually hold up pretty well. Dodgeball. I loved Dodgeball when I was in high school. I don't know how many of those hold up. Some do. I watched Superbad not too long ago, and that's still actually a pretty funny movie. But I got to admit, a lot of those comedies I liked when I was a kid were dumb. They were. They were really stupid. And some of them, I think I would even think, oh God, how the hell did I ever enjoy this dumb comedy? But hey, I was a teenager, I didn't really care, you know, dumb pratfalls and nut shots were all I needed, I guess, to make me laugh back then. But I just want to preface that in this review, because I'm coming at this movie late, obviously, with this review. What a surprise. And, the critics, obviously, I've already seen what the critics are saying about this movie. This movie's getting panned pretty hard. It's not, you know, in the 10% on Rotten Tomatoes or anything. But most people aren't really liking it. And I can totally see why. Because, like I mentioned in the plot summary, this is your standard snobs versus slobs story. It's Caddyshack, it's Animal House, it's, name any other, it's Dodgeball, there's the group of slobs that are too poor to really afford anything better than what they got, but they just want to have fun and party, and, they're all buddies and stuff, and you're just rooting for these guys, and they're hilarious. And then you have the snobs that just look down on our characters with utter disdain and want to destroy whatever they have that they love. Be it Average Joe's Gym and Dodgeball, or Delta House and Animal House, they just want to take everything away that the slobs enjoy. I mean, it's your standard comedy plot, and that's exactly what this movie is. This movie is essentially a string of gags, and I get it. This is a bare bones movie. This plot has been done to death. The movie is essentially a standard comedy plot that is literally an excuse to string jokes, to string gags, to string visual humor together, to string Jackass-style stunts and sketches together and make it more of a narrative. But I gotta admit, I laughed a lot during this movie. I did, and I know it's dumb, and part of that's nostalgia, sure. Part of that's just remembering the good old days and that little part of, it's like I was transported back to being in high school again a little bit. And I don't think that's always a bad thing. Sometimes it's fun to just watch something dumb and to just kick back. That's fine. That's why I still watch Jackass every once in a while. I don't watch it a lot. or anything, or I'll watch Viva La Bam. Again, I don't watch it a lot like I used to, but every once in a while it's like, you know what, I just want to kick back and enjoy something. You know, just something stupid. Take my mind off of, you know, a hard day at work or something. And that's exactly what this movie is. This movie was really fun, and I found myself laughing a lot. Yeah, a lot of the jokes were dumb, but that's the kind of movie it is. It's dumb. Like, there was an honest charm to this movie that Johnny Knoxville and Chris Pontius, who's from Jackass, who's also in this movie, they both bring to this film, and the rest of the cast is really good. There are a bunch of no-names. You know, they haven't really done anything else, but they were pretty alright for this kind of a comedy. They worked well together, and that lent itself to a charm. This movie doesn't hold a candle to other ones like it, like Animal House, or Caddyshack, or Dodgeball even. Sure, fair enough, absolutely. But, I gotta admit, like, several of the jokes worked. One thing I kind of wish, though, is that they brought in more of the Jackass crew. I'm not really sure why they did it, since most of them aren't really doing much as far as films anymore, or TV even. But, you know, bring in like Steve-O or Bam Margera, that would have been great. I know Ryan Dunn unfortunately passed away, but you can still bring some of them in. I really wish they would have, or hell, make Jackass 4. I would be there opening night if they made Jackass 4. Honestly, I think there's two reasons this movie works for me. And one of them is most of the jokes, if not all the jokes, are not really televised to you before they tell the joke. Or before the sight gag happens. Like, for example, there's a scene in this movie where Johnny Knoxville is going to stand on a park bench to, you know, rally up his employees and get them psyched to help save Action Point. And he just stands up, and right as he's about to talk, a Ford comes up and just hits him square in the nuts. It doesn't televise that this is going to happen. It comes out of absolute nowhere, and I gotta admit, I laughed. And I felt dumb for laughing at it, sure, because it is dumb. It's juvenile humor. Hell, why do you think I liked it when I was 14? I was a juvenile. But it was funny because they didn't televise it, and thus it allowed it to come out of nowhere and be spontaneously funny. The other thing that really makes this movie work, and honestly, really anything involving the humor of Johnny Knoxville and the Jackass crew, is that simple fact that they are actually getting hurt when they get hurt. It's not, you know, a stunt double. It's not, oh, they're just acting it out, pretending to fall over when they get hit in the nuts. No, no, no. They're actually getting hit in the nuts. That's why so many of those YouTube compilations of, like, people getting into accidents or whatever are hilarious, because that's actually people getting hurt. That's just, like, a natural part of the human brain, really, where as long as someone isn't, like, horribly hurt, like, in serious danger or anything, and, you know, it's just like, ow, simple at-the-time injury, it's funny, honestly, to see that happen to another person. And that's what Jackass was built on, and why Jackass worked so well. And honestly, Action Point, he brings it in this movie. There's some other pretty funny sequences in this movie too. Like, for instance, it's in the trailer, but there's a scene where they're trying to get kids to come to the park, so they create a petting zoo. And the animals they pick are, of course, what you would expect from these guys. Porcupines, alligators, bears that are alcoholics. Not kidding, they have an alcoholic bear in this movie, and it's surprisingly, stupidly funny. Well, it's not surprising that it's stupid, but it's funny. It's a dumb plot. It's pointless. I will admit that some of the characters were fine. I will say, on the attempt at drama side, it wasn't terrible. I actually did believe Johnny Knoxville with his daughter in this movie and their bond and that whole arc of a story. I got that. Like, it felt real enough, honestly. Like, Johnny Knoxville, he's definitely not a good actor, but he can act enough in a comedy. Like, he's passable. He's not incredible, like I said, but he's passable sometimes. And fortunately, there's not a lot of that in this movie. It's mostly just stuffed with gags. The one big problem with this movie is when it gets near the end, and they kind of temper down on the jokes, and it's like, okay, we really got to be working on the plot here and getting the plot rolling. That was a little disappointing, because my interest was not so much with the characters. Like I said, they were fine, like they carried the story well enough. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm really emotionally invested with these characters. No, I just wanted to see more dumb gags in this movie. But you know what? As dumb as this movie is, and as much as I totally get the negative reviews, I enjoyed it. I had fun watching the movie. I laughed a lot. I can't give this a high rating because it's so stupid. But if you like Jackass, I'm going to actually say give it a chance. And I'm going to give this 3 out of 5 stars. Trust me, I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that I like this movie, but I can't lie. I was actually kind of surprised how much I laughed during this movie. And whatever, it's fun. And I'd honestly watch it again. I don't think over any of the Jackass movies. Probably not even Bad Grandpa. But I'd honestly watch this movie again. I thoroughly enjoyed it as a dumb, guilty pleasure kind of movie that it is. So that's my review of Action Point, and there will be more reviews to come. So stay tuned and like, comment, subscribe. See ya.